Hey guys, welcome to the webinar. I know people are going to start pouring in. Just want to give everybody a chance to do that. I'll give it just a minute or two. I know we're right on the dot, and most people in this life, including me on normal circumstances, are not punctual. So let's just give everybody a couple minutes to join, and we will go from there. In the meantime, too, feel free, we'll get the stuff out of the way early on. We have a question section in the little toolbar on the right-hand side. That's where, if you have any questions, again, we want this to be interactive throughout. If you have a question, drop it in there. Always happy to answer those on the fly. You don't have to wait until the end. We will have a dedicated Q&A section for this, but by all means, don't hold back. It's super easy for us to keep an eye on this and just address those as we go. We'll also, in a minute or so, we're going to be dropping in just a quick survey just to understand whether or not you're already using Leap. If not, we'll jump right in. Honestly, our goal for this today is to be in and out in about 15 minutes. A lot of this information is going to come across as kind of Captain Obvious, but at the same time, it's not, because a lot of people don't think at the depth of which these things apply. So that's one of the things that we're going to try and hammer home with this. We'll also be again, like I said, looking throughout, answering those questions that you might have. So feel free, let us know that you understand how to use the question section. Feel free to just drop in where you're joining from today and say hi. So Michelle, feel free to drop in the quick survey and we'll get this thing kicked off. All right, yeah, feel free, just one click, finish that thing out. Beep, boop, beep. All righty. So we'll give it just a little bit more. Michelle, feel free on your end when we got all the answers and responses that we need to close that and we can get this thing moving forward. All right, cool. So without further ado, you guys, let's jump in. So we worked with a lot of our partners. We did a lot of research on our own independently. This is just a real quick webinar today where we're going to talk about just the real pressing trends. And you'll see a lot of our marketing moving forward for 2020 is really going to cater to these 5 points. So we're going to be bringing in a lot of outside professionals, incorporating some of our partners who are subject matter experts to be addressing each one of these. And these are honestly things that you should be thinking about throughout the year on ways, even if you're using Leap already, to level up your business. And if you're not, honestly, this is really going to show you that a tool like Leap is absolutely going to be a solution to cater to this and really make sure you're positioned for growth. So we'll go through a couple topics if we want to go to the next slide. The main things that we're going to be covering today, you guys, I'll give you a quick intro, which we just did. We'll go right into the demands, but we'll also show you in the next sections exactly how Leap addresses them. We'll open it up to Q&A at the end. Again, if you have questions throughout, feel free to drop them in the questions bar. So keep rocking. So jumping into the first 5. So these, again, you guys, these are a combination of a bunch of research that we've done with our partners, independently, etc. Something that we should all be looking at for 2020. So the first one we're going to take a look at is we're going to be talking about security and privacy. All right, you're going to see this as a recurring theme again and again and again. One of the things you'll find is that customers more and more and more are identifying security and privacy of their information as the #1 most important thing when looking at a business and whether they want to do work with them. All right. The scary part is if you look at bullet point number 1, only 57% of the B2B companies that are out there, and that includes the home improvement space. The home improvement space is actually way worse than this. Are confident that they meet the demands of consumers, specifically homeowners. When you look at this, 57% are not confident, are confident that they meet that demand. That's 43% don't think they can. And I will guarantee that some of that 57% aren't compliant. So when we say compliance, it's very simple. It's if you do anything like write a credit card down on an authorization form, if it's anywhere fully written out and not stored under lock and key, again, you're not compliant. You're subject to fees, you're subject to penalties. Credit card companies and processors are getting tighter and tighter about this, and you're going to start seeing a lot of fines passed down. The other question you have is, do you even have the tools to take the payments for the way, the way the credit card industry is moving? Perfect example of this is, look on the screen. It's, the new Apple credit card doesn't even have a number on it. All right. It's all done through someone's phone. You can get access to that number, but it's ever changing. That's the way they keep it secure. If you look at the trends for how credit cards have evolved over the last 20 years, they went from that little swiping imprint carbon copy to magnetic strips and terminals, to chips, to tapping it. If you go to Europe, Europe is way ahead of the curve when it comes to payment processing. You never even insert a chip or anything like that. It's all either done through your phone, like Apple Pay or Google Pay, or you just tap your credit card to the terminal and it reads it without even having to insert a chip or swipe a card. Apple, again, is revolutionary on this, where pretty soon you won't even have a physical card in your hand. And if you're not equipped to take those payments, unfortunately, you're going to find yourself in a position where you're having to say, oh, well, I'm not equipped to meet the demands of the security of your private info. Pretty scary stuff if you're not up to date on what it is and what it means to you. So again, we're going to be doing a lot more webinars around this moving forward. So we'll cruise to the next slide and we'll talk about number 2. Number 2 is convenience. All right, that silly little cartoon on the right, couldn't say it better. All right, people are somewhat lazy, and we're conditioned in everything we do to have instant gratification. So when you talk about convenience, it all boils down to your efficiencies. They want to spend minimal time in the home going back and forth and being sold to. They want a stress-free process that really caters to what they need. Your process should also incorporate ways to figure out what this is. Speak with them. Take the time early on to get their trust. The other thing they need is they need to make sure it's catered specifically to them. So when we say that, again, a lot of people have scripts, a lot of people have processes that they follow, A, B, and C, or else. You have to be flexible enough to get into what is important to somebody and cater specifically to it. If they don't feel that they have something that's unique to them, and that includes if you have a call center, right? You qualify, or even if it's just somebody in your office, qualifying why that person raised their hand to get an estimate and what's important to them within their home. If they don't get those details into the home with that sales rep, you're going to run into issues. They're like, well, I already told this to that person that I scheduled the appointment with. And at that point, you're just against the 8 ball, behind the curve, trying to make up lost ground that you didn't need to in the first place. So, third, and the one thing, if we go back real quick on that last slide, the one thing to also note with this, what do you do when you need something and you want it quickly? You go online, you go to Amazon, you hit buy it now, and it's at your house in a day. When you look at why Amazon is the most successful retailer in the world, it's because of convenience. There's a reason why Jeff Bezos was able to take down Walmart. All right, it's because he can do everything that he needs to do in an environment that's hyper convenient. All right, you guys should be thinking about ways in which you can increase the efficiency of your business to cater to what people do in their day-to-day lives. If they're not getting a really convenient estimate or really convenient appointment or really convenient experience, unfortunately, what you're going to find is they'll just go elsewhere and find it. So let's keep going. All right. Convenience is a really good segue into our next one, which is transparency. All right. We all know that this industry, the home improvement industry, is incredibly good at selling. Like, some of the best salespeople I've ever experienced come from this world. So pat on the back to all of you joining today. I guarantee you've just got some studs, or you yourself are impressive when it comes to closing deals. But the thing that's going to make you even better is incorporating a really solid fundamental understanding of transparency into your process. All right. That means showing them exactly where you're getting your measurements, being thorough and educating them on the process. Anytime I speak at shows, which I'm actually in Las Vegas right now, I'm speaking at the International Builders Show. And one of the things that I spoke about was, I had a deck put on the side of my house. And the person that we ended up going with was the one that took time to educate us on exactly how it was built, how to make sure that it's up to code, and really took the time to understand why we wanted to do this in the first place, and told us, all right, this is exactly what you're going to experience if you buy the job from me. We're going to do X, we're going to do Y, and we're going to do Z, and here's the timeline accordingly. They also said, all right, well, these are all the components that go into the deck, and this is where the majority of your cost is going to come, and this is how much we're going to be spending on labor. They were very, very transparent with us, and they weren't the cheapest. All right? That's the other thing to really note with this, is that transparency is hugely important. It's also, if we look at the final bullet point down here, it's the key to referrals. You know, I'm the VP of marketing at Leap. My life revolves around understanding the cost per lead that I am spending. All right. And if I don't know that, or if I look at that and go, all right, I'm not getting referrals, then I'm just driving up my cost per lead. Making sure that you have both convenience and transparency means that you drive that down because you're getting more and more referrals. So we can keep going to the next one. All right. All of this boils up to customer experience. All right. Again, if you look at that top line in green, one of the most important things, if anything, that you're going to remember from this session today is experience is often more important than price. I paid more money to go with the guy that was super transparent, took the time to educate me, had all the details that I needed in order to make an educated decision that I could feel really good about. All right. People make decisions off of emotion, not logic. Like, this isn't Vulcan. We're not Spock. People need the emotion evoked that makes them feel secure and comfortable. And if you're not giving that to them, the experience is going to be diminished. All right. So you have to make sure that all of these details that we line out, the surprises, don't spring anything on them ever. They don't want to be called up after being sold on a deal and being, oops, hey, we sold you a color combination that doesn't exist. Or, oh, hey, by the way, that window isn't available in that color. Why didn't you tell me ahead of time? I wouldn't have gone with you. You know, so there's super important components of this that if you're not actively protecting against, and sometimes that can be really difficult to do at scale. So if you've got 10 reps in the field or 5 reps in the field or even 2 reps in the field, and one of them is you, great. You can only control yourself unless you use technology and other components that can actively put those safeguards in place. All right. And more importantly, at the end of this bullet, I think it's bullet number 5, it looks like, tell your story one time. You have to make sure that those notes are carried seamlessly from beginning to end. If I have to explain myself with the same story 5 times, by the time I hit story 3, 4, and 5, I'm annoyed. Don't do that, because they're not going to tell their friends about how wonderful the experience was. So number 5, we can keep going. This one, you guys, this one is a lot more important than people think, okay? Some people think they're paperless. They're not, all right? Unless you've truly digitized every document within your organization, you're not adhering to this. And this is something that people are demanding more and more and more in everything they do. Why? It's not to save the animals. That's a perk. You know, if you look at that last bullet there, environmental reasons are not as important as convenience. Paper is annoying to manage. If somebody gives me a receipt for something, it never makes it where it needs to be. It gets crumpled up, ends up on the floor mat of my truck, or, you know, at best, it ends up in a drawer at my house. All right. If you're not adhering to a paperless process, you're incredibly inefficient. You run the risk of being out of compliance, meaning if you're writing down or even have a paper check that you're handling, that's somebody's financial information, their name, address, their account numbers. It's scary, right? The other thing too is paper is expensive to maintain and manage, not only in the head count for the people that have to organize it, but also the ones that have to buy it, print it. All of that's expensive. All right. So you need to adhere to the trends of the world. The world is not going paper. It's going paperless. You need to get on top of that. And that honestly is a competitive advantage between you and your competition. So again, paperless is incredibly important for a lot of reasons. Mostly it's the experience that it generates and the perception that it creates with your customers. If you're using paper, they think you're old school. All right. Old school is not good. So you have to make sure that you're getting with the times. You are coming across as a tech forward, secure organization that speaks to how people are conditioned in every decision they make in life. You buy a car, most people buy it online. You buy any consumer good, you buy it online. If you go to a store, it's because you've done the research online and you want it today. Retail is dying for a reason. Convenience online is that much more important. So again, paperless is massive. We can keep going. All right, so the next thing we want to do, you guys, is I could bark 5 things at you all day long, but if I didn't show you how we solve for those, and this includes people who are already actively using Leap, all right? If you're not actively gearing your organization through Leap to touch all these points, again, you're doing yourself a disservice and you're doing your customers a disservice. If you don't use Leap, let me show you why you need to be. So let's jump in. First and foremost, we talked about privacy and security, all right? Everything that you do within Leap, this is referring to not only our secure payment capture, but also our financing, all right? You can securely submit applications through Leap to integrated lenders, or even capture blank default forms in a secure way through the app, whether you have connectivity or whether you don't. All right. And when it comes to processing credit cards or even checks like ACH, everything that we do is level 1 PCI compliant. So if you ask yourself, am I adhering to the needs of my consumers? Do I have any one of my reps calling in a credit card, using a swiper, any of that? If the answer is yes, then you're not meeting those PCI compliant needs. All right. We can process any credit card. We partner with over 120 plus gateways. Whether it's ACH or whether it's credit card, all of that is securely stored in a token, so no one ever sees that credit card number. You can use QuickBooks, you can use whatever you need to process those payments, and you only have to capture it once. So if I get a credit card at that point of sale, but I have to charge it 3 times before it gets installed, I can do that, and I never have to go back to that home. It's all securely stored. All I got to do is click to charge, game on. So again, Leap handles this stuff in the coolest way for any tool out there, and you do not need connectivity. So we can keep going. The next one we talked about was convenience, all right? Your reps, when using Leap, and this is not only your sales reps, but this is also your production staff, have every single piece of information and tool they need to close this deal and get it installed, all digitally without paper. So that's estimates, proposals, financing, contracts, payment capture. It even integrates with your CRM. So everything that you do within Leap is done at the convenience of not only your sales reps, but also the consumer. Keep rocking. All right, the next one we talked about was transparency. All right, what you see on your screen, these are 2 of the partners that we integrate if you're doing measurements for whether it be roofing, siding, even windows and doors. All right, you can pull in digital copies of your measurements and have them linked directly to the line items in your measure sheet. All right, the beauty of this is you can educate your homeowners on every little thing that you're doing with them. So again, when I had that deck put on the side of my house, I'd never built a deck. I guarantee you every one of the people who might buy roofing or windows from you, they don't know how that stuff works. So the neat part is I can import an Eagle View or a Hover report directly to my measure sheet, and I can tell them, hey, let me show you exactly what's included in a roof and how we do what we do. Shingles, goes without saying, underlayment, tell them what it does, show them a picture, educate them on exactly what it means to them. Hey, you want to go with good underlayment because you want that water barrier. You want it to be secure. All right, this is a 30-year plus investment, or this is a lifetime investment. So again, don't skimp on it, and we'll figure out a way to make the payments work for you. But let me educate you on what goes into it and why it's important. Visual cues are huge, right? If someone can't speak your language, they can understand a picture. So again, hugely important, and Leap can do that no matter what you sell. we're totally product agnostic. You can use Leap to price literally anything. So keep going. As we go, customer experience, all right? So what you see on screen is actually a survey form, all right? So the key to getting this person's experience kicked off from day one, and this also goes back to marketing, it's use this as a tool to start teaching them everything that you do throughout, all right? Get them engaged with not only you, but get them engaged in the process. Hand the iPad to them and have them fill out the survey, all right? It looks really cool when they're involved. They feel a part of it, and you need to get that emotion flowing with them. If they feel it's a we thing and not a you versus them thing, it's a hell of a lot easier to close that lead. So again, using things like surveys or even work orders, etc., measure sheets if you're talking production staff, have that stuff incorporated in so that anyone experiencing any sort of interaction with your customers is going to feel like a very unified experience. You do that, it's going to be off the charts, the amount of referrals that you see. The customers that are doing this better than anyone else have unbelievable referral rates, and they're not the cheapest one in the neighborhood. All right? It's because they provide an amazing service with their customers. So again, everything you do in Leap can be digitized so that it's an amazing experience from beginning to end. If you don't know how to do that, let us show you. Reach out to us at the end of this. All right, keep going. And then lastly, we talked about paperless. Okay? There's a lot of tools out there that claim digital anything, like digital estimates, digital contracts, all that stuff. But most of them involve paper somewhere in their process. Companies that use Leap are totally paperless, or can be totally paperless, and should be totally paperless. It means all of your data goes seamlessly through the experience. You can push leads directly from your CRM into Leap. You can have all your contracts signed digitally, all your proposals sent out, even your brochures for any of the products that you sell can be emailed directly to your customers so that you never have to print them. It's a lot more convenient for them to pull that up on their phone than it is to pull out, all right? Pull out a big brochure. All right? The other thing to note with this is it's also instantaneous. So when you use Leap, you can seamlessly pass those documents from your sales reps to the field to your production staff in-house. They can call and get those next measurement or the remeasures scheduled. They can do anything and everything they need instantaneously because it's all paperless. Nothing has to wait to come back to the office. Nothing has to wait to be verified. The other thing is you don't ever have to deal with like mistakes on handwriting. There's so many people that I talk with too that their handwriting is garbage. Well, computers and typography, crystal clear as day. So again, paperless is super important. Leap is totally paperless, and you never ever have to default to using paper because you don't have signal. Everything you need to do can be done offline in Leap. So again, these, you guys, if we want to keep going, these are the 5 things that we wanted to discuss. All right, it was nice and quick. We threw in this little graphic. It was something that we did a while back. Again, burn your paper. It's not worth it. It's amateur hour at this point. It's 2020. If you're still using paper, you really need to make sure that you get with the times and what your customers are demanding. So I want to open it up for any questions. Feel free to ask away. How do you do this in Leap, or can you do this? Let me know if there's anything that you need. If anyone wants a copy of this, feel free to raise your hand as well. We're happy to share out all these documents, as well as some of the research that we've done behind this. So I'll wait a second, let everybody figure things out. If not, we'll call this one. Wait just a little bit longer. Any questions from anyone? No? All right. Well, thank you again, you guys. We were able to get this done relatively quick. Any questions, feel free to reach out to us, info@leaptodigital.com, or simply go to our website and request a demo. We're always happy to educate you on exactly what you can and can't do and get you moving forward with a solid 2020 plan. So thank you all for joining. I know this was a quick one. We'll be uploading this to our YouTube channel. Feel free to subscribe to that and get all the alerts for new videos that we post, and get excited for more of these webinars to come with some key professionals from the industry to hammer home the points we showed. Thank you so much, you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day.